Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Welcome to Monsters of the Madhouse, Chicago Sports Podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and thank you so much as we are winding down here for football season. I'm Matt Cooper along with Brad LaRoe and Papa Bear Blaker. Guys, how are we feeling tonight?
Doing awesome. Good.
How about, hey guys, what are we at right now? We're at 7 in, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it 7 in a row right now we're currently at with our team?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not on the good
It's starting to get hard to keep track.
But, yeah, you just, it's because after every week you block out of your mind like a tragedy. you just want to forget that happened.
We'll remember when it's 7 wins, though.
We will remember that. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we will remember that.
Yeah, well, we're trying to plan out our next win, man. So I just say just one game at a time, and we got a big one against the Vikings on Monday. But, you know, as we got 4 games left here in our football season, and thank you guys for watching tonight. You can like and subscribe. You can see it right there here on the bottom corner, Chicago Sports Podcast on our YouTube channel. And we're talking about coaching candidates because we are going to need a head coach. And there's 4 of them out there, 4 of them rumored out there that we're going to talk about in tonight's show. And you guys can comment in the chat room. Let us know what you think of our coaching candidates. And we begin with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. For the last couple of years, the last 3 seasons, top 5 scoring offense for the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, I mean, we see what he's done with Jared Goff. We compared to what he was with the Rams to what he is now. He was an MVP. I think it's kind of cooled off a little bit. Either way, for a couple of weeks, we were talking about MVP type of caliber player in Jared Goff. And I like what he does as an offensive coordinator. I like the creativity that he has. Now, granted, he's got a great offensive line in Detroit, 2 incredible running backs. They draft very well in that team. But the way he uses both of those running backs, Gibbs and Montgomery, and then complements that with the pass game, I think is so creative. Now, the question is with Ben Johnson, is he going to be a credible head coach? Because we were talking about this off air, guys. Last couple of coaches, we've been going after the coordinators that haven't worked out very well. And I think that's what worries me a little bit because we're looking for a leader of men. We keep hearing that so much. Leader of men. We need a leader of men to lead this team. Can Ben Johnson do that? Because I think Dan Campbell is a leader of men. How we see that right now, what he's done to that program. So he's coming under the Dan Campbell tree. But it's a hard transfer when you go from an offensive coordinator to a head coach. So I would like to get your opinion. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, it is a hard transition, and we're seeing it right now. I know he's had a really fast progressed tree of his coaching tree. He went from a passing game coordinator to our OC to our head coach, and we seen it last week. There was definitely some struggles from him. I know Ben Johnson's had more time at it with calling his plays and stuff over there in Detroit. Just a better situation. But just because the head coach you work under right now is a leader of men doesn't mean that he's going to be a leader of men. So that's something that the Bears need to be cautious with as well.
Brad brings up a good point there, Papa Bear. We're talking about leader of men. He can call a good game, but leader of men, it's easier said than done. And you can ask some of our past coordinators here that have been the Bears head coach over the last 10 years when you make that transition.
Yeah, I totally agree. Ben Johnson is probably the only coordinator I want to see coaching the Bears next year. You bring up the Goff thing and you bring up consistency. This isn't like Matt Nagy, who only coached 8 games and then got into the wild card and the team stalled. At least he has a resume. At least he has. He's creative. He's not always trying to get you with gadget plays and goofy things. He values the run game. So I do agree with that. The one thing about Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles beating the drum on the leader of men, bro, that should be part of the definition of a head coach. That shouldn't even have to be said by those guys. We're looking for a leader of men. You should have been looking for a leader of men when Eberflus was hired. I don't want to go too far off track with the coordinators. But leader of men, I'm already presuming you're a leader of men if I'm asking to interview you.
Can I bring this up too? Is anybody else sick of hearing leader of men? By the way, too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
what you said there. You're right. That should be in with a head coaching job in general. That should be your job as any coach is a leader of men. I would think, and I feel like I hear it way too often, more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah, it's the new very Demore or whatever that people are saying online. We're done with it.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
know.
I mean,
It-
we'll all use it because it has to be a trait, but it like we say, it has to be a trait.
Yeah, if you're a football coach, you would think you
Yeah.
would be a leader of men.
Yeah, these
depending
guys
what
have big
position-
egos
position.
out here making $1 million, $20 million a year. They got big egos. You can't have a not leader of men. Every head coach is a leader of men.
Everybody, I want to say hello in the chat room, by the way, too. Crooked Kamish, what's up, guys? I see Sean Lugo in there. He's a good dude. Brandon Trax Hyatt, our leader, also. So thank you, guys. Darius, thank you guys for all commenting and joining us tonight on the show. Monsters of the Madhouse. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel and on our page. You know what's going to be interesting to me, too, is last thought here on Ben Johnson. Don't forget, last year there was a lot of rumors that he was expected to leave. Like he had that coaching opportunity. The rumor was he was going to go to Washington, and then he turned it down to go back to another year in Detroit. So maybe that was a good because he figured that this would be his opportunity to win it all. And heck, the Lions right now have one loss, so we can't argue of them not being one of the better teams in the league. But I think what I'm going to be interested to see is how far the Lions do go and what he does to make them go to that next level. Are they going to be able to go in there? Are they going to be able to dominate on offense? What is going to attract him? Is there anything when you guys look at Ben Johnson as we end the season here? We've got 4 games left, and then we got the playoffs, and they're going to be in there. And they, as of right now, they would have a bye. But is there something that's going to stand out to you for Ben Johnson to really take that lead to be the Bears head coach? Brad, what do you think?
I'm going to kind of go the opposite way. I'm going to go with what he could do to lose it, because last year we seen him go away from his run game. And that's what Detroit thrived on all last year. Once they got to the playoffs, they kind of, the second half of that game they lost, they kind of went away from their run game, and they were just airing it out. That was kind of a red flag to me, as in, is he going to stay true to himself, or is he going to feel pressure in that head coaching position if he couldn't handle that postseason pressure as a OC?
Papa Bear, is something you're looking for the Lions here as they get ready here for their playoff run, or something that you're going to be looking for in a Ben Johnson offense when they get in the playoffs?
Well, I think the thing about Ben Johnson is his head coach, Dan Campbell, who I like a lot, puts a lot of pressure on Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, I think, for the most part, responds very well. We know Campbell likes to go for those 4th downs. He's a gambler. And last year in that San Francisco game, when you think about it, they went for it on those 4th downs, and the right play was called. It was the execution that fell short. So this year, when their back's against the wall and the pressure, and Campbell wants to go for it on 4th and put his team in that position again, is Ben Johnson putting his team in that right position? Is he winning the chess match by calling the right play? That's all he's got to do is call the right play. Then we go on execution, and did the team execute? So that's what I'll be looking for.
So Ben Johnson is going to be the hot name that's going to be brought up, not only with the Bears, but I have a feeling there's probably going to be about 8 or 9 other openings. There's already a couple openings right now, so we're going to be watching to see where he ends up and if he ends up somewhere else. Another one of the coaching candidates on the list would be Joe Brady, which is an interesting one. Dude's only 35 years old, and I totally forgot about this with him too, that he was part of the LSU championship team when they won it back in 2019. Then he was with Carolina, the Panthers for that 1 year, which that didn't work out very well. Matt Rule was the head coach. Nothing worked out that well. Matt Rule. Then he was hired as a quarterbacks coach by the Bills and was promoted when they fired Ken Dorsey. And he has strived big time as the Bills offensive coordinator. You could tell the difference when he took over last year. They flowed and they hit a little bit better. And the Bills offense this year is doing very well as well. They are second scoring offense, 30.5 points a game, and Josh Allen is playing like an MVP candidate. So Joe Brady is a name that a lot of us, maybe like the average person, probably doesn't know very well, but Joe Brady could be an interesting one. Papa Bear, what stands out to you when it comes to Joe Brady?
What stands out to me is that he gets to call plays for maybe the most underappreciated player in football, Josh Allen. Chase Daniel said he might be the best player in football right now, and I don't disagree with that. I just get like Matt Nagy vibes from this guy and other coordinator vibes. I'm sorry, I do. Look, I'm just saying that it's a lot easier to call plays for this Bills offense than it's not like he was at on a team that rebuilt the roster, and he's got them thriving. I mean, Brian Dabble from the Giants was doing the same thing, and you don't want him anywhere around the Chicago Bears locker room next year when he loses his job with the Giants. So the Bills have the talent. I just don't like one of these guys to step in and has all the talent around him. And I'm going to stay away from Brady. I don't want the coordinator. I want either Ben Johnson or a seasoned head coach.
Brad, when you think of Joe Brady, what has to happen for him for the rest of the season? What has to happen with the Bills? I just told you Josh Allen, potential MVP candidate. Their offense is cooking right now. That game against the Rams over the weekend was fun to watch. And, their offense looks so good in that game. And you could tell he's got all of his players in the right position. And I think this is some of the best football I've seen Josh Allen play. So throughout the rest of the season, I still think he could be the underdog. But what's going to stand out to you when it comes to Joe Brady?
My question is how much of this Josh Allen success is on Josh Allen and not Joe Brady? He's growing. Every quarterback's going to grow year by year, get a little bit better, turn the ball over a little less typically. And that's what we're seeing out of him. They've got, looking at their schedule, they got the Jets, the Patriots, and the Patriots again. I don't expect it to not be a good offensive showing in every one of those games. They've got the Lions this week, so that might be tough. We need to see them put up good numbers against the Lions just for him to even be considered as the Bears head coach in my eyes. I'm with Papa Bear here, though. I want to stay away from him. I want to stay away from coordinators. And that includes Ben Johnson. He's the fairy tale coach to a lot of people, Ben Johnson is. But I kind of want to just stay away from the coordinators and get somebody that has experience in here.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get our predictions here at the end of the show, and I'm going to give you guys a little heads up. I'm kind of leaning the way that you're thinking too. But I wanted to bring up the two coordinators because those are the two names brought up. Right. So it'll be interesting to see. By the way, the two Sunday games, Sunday afternoon games this week, when you got the Eagles and the Steelers, and then you got the Lions and the Bills. Man, that's gonna be a fun Sunday afternoon, fun for the late games to watch. We'll be watching two potential head coaching candidates in those games. So thank you guys for watching tonight. I see Dustin checking in, Sean and Darius. Thank you guys for watching on the Chicago Sports Podcast, sponsors of the Madhouse. Like and subscribe on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, and you'll get those notifications popping up on your phone when we have shows. We have shows here all the time. We have shows during the week and also pregame shows before the Bears games a lot of times too at Bridges Scoreboard, one of our main sponsors of the show who's been with us for a very long time. So you guys want to talk about experience? All right, let's get away from the coordinators, the hot coordinators. I just brought them at the first, but screw them. Let's go to the main guys now, right? I didn't mean that seriously. But let's talk about Brian Flores, which I think is an interesting name. And you guys are going to see him on Monday as the Bears take on the Vikings for the second time. And Brian Flores has had an interesting career. He was under the Bill Belichick tree, became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, had a winning record when he was let go his last season. And then more things started coming out, the Tua coming out saying that he was a horrible man and some of these stories behind the scenes. So what he did is he got himself, I feel like what he did is he goes, I want to go get myself better. So Mike Tomlin brought him on as a linebackers coach. I don't know if you guys remember that a couple years ago, but Mike Tomlin brought him on as a linebackers coach. And I feel like that changed everything, his mindset and the way a team runs, because Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the league. And now he's this defensive coordinator right now for the Minnesota Vikings, who's having a heck of a year. The Vikings defense doing very well right now, scoring defense number 6, allowing 18.5 points a game. You know what's funny about their defense too with the Vikings? And I'm not here to break that down, but I feel like they have good players, but not like the superstar players on that team. They just are in this right scheme. They got the right players, and Brian Flores puts them in the right position. And you hear nothing but players coming out from the Vikings saying, hey, man, we love this guy. This is our guy. We play for him. You can tell they play hard for him, and you'll see that on Monday night. So Brian Flores, a leader of men. Now, it's going to be interesting because he has that lawsuit as well against, I believe it was against the NFL. And I don't know if that's going to have teams hesitant to hire him or not. I have no idea, but his name is being brought up. And I think I'll start with you, Brad. When you think of leader of men and you see what the Vikings have been so far, this guy fits all that criteria.
Yeah, absolutely. That's B-flow. I mean, we already seen one quarterback that couldn't handle it. I like to think our quarterback's a little bit more mentally tough. Going against all the stuff that came out about him before the draft, we've seen that's not true. But Yeah, I think he's that quote unquote leader of men that everybody wants to talk about. And like you said, the players on his defense, I can't name one of them other than Harrison Smith, and he's 37. I I don't know how he's doing what he's doing, but he's doing it.
And
So
Papa Bear, yeah, to what you're saying, Brad, Papa Bear, when you watch the Vikings, and we'll watch them on Monday night when they take on the Bears, what impresses you most when you watch a Brian Flores defense?
Consistently getting pressure, consistently making things hard for you, making you earn every yard, always up in the quarterback's face. You can't take anything away from Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator. Absolutely not. I mean, the man has a system, he's married to it, and he has his team running it in perfectly. So, I mean, that could be said for him.
Chat room, by the way, Pinky's in the house tonight. Dude, it's good to see him in here. So thank you guys for watching. Darius as well. I thank you guys as we're talking about the Bears and their coaching candidates. We're talking about Brian Flores right now. You know what's funny? I was looking at some of their players because don't forget they lost Danielle Hunter in the offseason. Danielle Hunter was a stud last year. Double-digit sacks. Goes to the Texans. Jonathan Grenard comes back. Jonathan Grenard comes back for the Vikings. They pick up Andrew Van Ginkel, Andrew Van Ginkel, who was with Flores with Miami, and he's having a hell of a year. And so these are the guys that are on that team, and they're plugging away right now, and it's fun to watch. And they're all over the field. Like I could see there were plays when the first time that the Vikings played the Bears. I remember Van Ginkel. I saw him times going after the quarterback, then I saw him another times back in pass cover. Like literally, the second or third play after he was going after the quarterback, he was going into pass coverage. And I'm like, that's what I like about Brian Flores, man. He disguises those defenses. He disguises them. He's so creative with them. And when you want to talk about a guy that I think would command a room with head coaching experience, we just said it. Brad, you said it. Papa Bear, you said it. We were talking about the hot coordinators. No. You want somebody with coaching experience? That dude has head coaching experience that I think would be even better after he put himself in those positions with the Steelers and the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be on the lookout. We got a couple more people checking in the chat room. We got Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. It's good to see you. Jerome Munoz and Chris Foster. Thank you guys so much for Pinky's on his lunch break right now. Dude, you are dedicated, man. On the lunch break, man. That's awesome.
This chat that Chris dropped is kind of an interesting stat.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't really realize that, but also I feel like we're in all those games that Caleb's getting those touchdowns within the last 2 minutes. I know he says they're 2-score.
It says right here. It says Caleb 21 sacks in the fourth quarter game within 7 points. Caleb has taken 8 sacks and 0 TDs. His fourth quarter TDs have called him with 2-score playing catch up to prevent. You don't even realize that. That's a really good point too, because the Bears offense has started off so freaking slow in most of our games this year that it is always coming back with catch up. So thank you, Chris, man. Thank you for pulling that up. Hey, guys, our last coaching candidate I want to talk about tonight is Mike Vrabel. Now, this is my favorite one out of all of them, Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, who had a hell of a playing career for the New England Patriots. He was a great linebacker. He was with Houston for a long time. He was a linebackers coach at the defensive. I think he was a linebackers coach. I have to double check on that one. But then he went to the Tennessee Titans, where I thought he had a lot of success, especially a couple of seasons. The second season is the 2019 season. Lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I really thought they were going to the Super Bowl in 2021. That's when they lost to the Bengals in the AFC divisional game. I figured it was going to be between those two teams. If Ryan Tannehill didn't have the game that he had, the defense that year was so freaking good. It was probably the best defense in the league. I thought Vrabel had them cooking that year to go. But again, the quarterback, I thought, held them back and then was let go. And a lot of people, I live here in Knoxville, and there's a lot of Titans fans down here. And you can pull any Titans fan aside down here, and they'll be saying, yo, that was bull, like the way he was let go and how he was let go. And people are still not happy. Brian Callahan in there right now, who, he's in a different situation, but the Titans are not a very good football team. Mike Vrabel, you want to talk about a leader of men. You want to talk about players that love playing for him. I have never heard one player underneath him say that they didn't like playing for him. I think this would be a home run hire. And Papa Bear, I'll start with you. When you start thinking of home run hires of coaching searches, I think it starts with him.
I completely agree. I think this was a guy that every year at the end of the year was asked to go into the next season and do more with less. The A.J. Brown trade, do you remember that on draft night? You remember his reaction when he found out in the war room that they got rid of his guy? And then, you never gave him a good quarterback. Are we going to sit here and try to pretend that Tannehill's a Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? I mean, just picture him with Caleb Williams, and that's a guy that knows he's going to have to win in the trenches, and he's going to have to run the football. And yeah, I'm completely sold on Mike Vrabel. If he wants to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, sign me on. I'm all for it. Does he need me to pick him up at O'Hare? I could be there tomorrow.
Hey, dude, we're gonna hold you to that, man. We're gonna get you. You're
I'll
gonna
go
be the
get
one
him.
that's gonna go figure. We'll have Brandon Trax take care of all that too. He'll set all that up for you. So, everybody, I'm looking at the chat room too. I see Darius says I like Vrabel. I know a lot of people are thinking that he's the popular man for this job. Brad, when you think of Mike Vrabel, you think of a tough football player. You think of a great head coach. You think of a leader. What else do you think of when you think of Mike Vrabel? If there's anything else that I missed.
I think a guy that brings a lot of experience, a guy that knows how to win with not so great players. I think of a guy that knows talent and knows what's not talent. So he'd be able to weed out the bad ones. Tyreek Stevenson. Tyreek's talent is as it comes, but he needs to get under control with those little on the field antics. But yeah, I think that all gets settled with Mike Vrabel. He's just that guy. He took that. Who was really on that Tennessee team other than Derrick Henry? That they should have been where they got to. I heard on CHGO Bears that there's been rumblings that maybe the Bears are kind of scared of Vrabel because he wants some power in the who we draft. But shouldn't all head coaches kind of have say in who we draft when they're here?
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that some of the rumors is, like, will it be the right GM fit when you have a guy like Mike Vrabel coming in, or do they want their say in a GM that they've worked with before or have somebody come in? So I don't know the answer to that question. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because a lot of times you can bring in those hot coordinators coming in and you could pair them up with a new GM or possibly an existing GM because this is the first time on the job. But then when you got a guy like Mike Vrabel, do you have him have say in bringing in a GM? I just don't know the answer to that. I think that's going to be interesting how this all plays out.
I think you could make a strong case that Ryan Poles should not return to this football team. I think if you weigh his pros and cons, you're pretty even. And this is a guy who was an offensive lineman, and he can't find offensive linemen. There's just some bad things about Poles I don't like. I mean, let's revisit what you just said about Stevenson. You revisit that Carolina trade, it's Caleb, next year's second-round pick, and DJ Moore. Stevenson's not looking like a win now, right now, and Darnell Wright's been up and down. I mean, the Roquan Smith trade, so you got Dexter. After week 3, Bears fans were saying, oh, my God, it was so good we passed on Jalen Carter. Dexter's better. Nobody's saying that now. So Ryan Poles needs to be reevaluated, too. There's no way he should skate into next year with a guaranteed job.
I think you're speaking for a lot of Bears fans out there too. And again, it's going to be. Well, I think it's going to be interesting how these last 4 games go here too. Are they going to get blown out? Are they going to actually win a game instead of? Are they going to lose 8 in a row, 9 in a row? I mean, you bring up a lot of good points about the offensive line, and I think our front 7 on defense too can be argued with that. So it's going to be it'll be interesting how this plays out, guys. When it comes to what's the right head coach or the right GM. Very quickly, I'm going to go around the room here. Your guess at the 4 candidates I just named, Papa Bear, who would you think would be the leading favorite to become the next Bears head coach?
I'm gonna go with Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel. How about you, Brad?
Personally, I want Vrabel, but I think that they're going to fall in love with the offensive mind that is Ben Johnson.
Yeah, it's a good take. I think I want Mike Vrabel too. He's definitely number 1 on my list. Ben Johnson would be in my top 5 though.
Absolutely.
But I don't want. I'm with both of you though. With the experience as far as the head coach goes. And,
can I throw out one name that I heard on another show that I hadn't really thought about until I heard it, but I love it? Is Artie Smith over in Pittsburgh right now?
Yeah, the offense coordinator.
Yeah, because he's a coordinator. I know I said I want to stay away from coordinators, but he's a coordinator.
Former head coach though.
Experience. Yeah, and he did pretty well down there in Atlanta in my eyes. For what he had Desmond Ridder. You might as well throw the grocery store bagger in at quarterback. I think with a guy like Caleb Williams and the roster we have, he would be a good option.
Yeah, I like. He's done a very good job in Pittsburgh, and he's revitalized that entire offense too. And
Yeah.
you can see what Russell Wilson's doing this year. He's having a great year. The wide receiver room is better, even with players on that team that you wouldn't even think of. So that's a good call there, Brad. So these names are going to start popping up more and more over the next couple of weeks. And the good thing is we got a lot of time to talk about that on the Chicago Sports Podcast, as we'll have many more shows to talk about head coaching candidates and where the Bears are going to go from there. So thank you guys for watching tonight. Monsters of the Madhouse. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We have some great sponsors on our show too, like our friends at Bridges Scoreboard, Northwest Indiana's Chicago Sports Headquarters, Hall of Fame menu. Brandon Trax is usually out there Sundays before games. So you guys can check that out. And you guys can check out TC World of Wonders, tcsworldofwonders.com to pick up your memorabilia as well. So a lot of fun here tonight. Thank you guys in the chat room. We appreciate your support. And guys, I say let's do this again next week.
See you then.
Works for me.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.